Unused potential is not passive. It is destructive. It creates tension in the body, erosion in the identity, and stress in the mind. Peace doesn't come from calming the mind. Peace comes from expressing the identity you've been suppressing. Humans are designed to express, not burn out. If you feel heavy right now, it could be that you're not carrying too much responsibility, you're carrying too much unused gifting. Resentment is not moral failure, it's psychological data. It's a lagging indicator of suppressed ambition. Speed protects you because fear needs time to grow. Move fast and fear can't catch you. There's a lie we tell ourselves about our potential. It's a lie that feels responsible and safe. The lie is that our potential is patient. We believe our talents, ideas, and abilities are waiting quietly for us to feel ready or for life to somehow magically slow down. But potential isn't money in the bank. It's more like milk. It has an expiration date. Unused potential doesn't stay neutral. It curdles, it sours, and eventually it rots. When potential goes unused, it doesn't just rot intellectually, it rots emotionally, it rots psychologically, it rots inside the nervous system. So if you've been feeling anxious, restless, bitter, or cynical, you might not be dealing with fear, you might be dealing with an output crisis. It's that pressure of unexpressed capacity. Today, I want to walk you through what I call the Law of Perishable Potential. It's a psychological and identity-based way to understand why waiting is often the most toxic thing you can do for your future. Because we live in a culture that idolizes safety. We're taught to eliminate risk, build backup plans, and wait until everything is perfect before taking action. See, safety becomes a destination. But in performance psychology, safety isn't a destination, it's a tax. The nervous system hates stagnation. It interprets inaction as danger. It interprets delay as threat. It interprets suppressed ambition as internal conflict. Every call you don't make, every idea you keep postponing, and every project you never start, you pay for it. Not later, but right now. You pay in cognitive fatigue, emotional burnout, loss of confidence, and increasing anxiety. I paid this tax for years. I told myself I was preparing and being strategic, but what I was really doing was hiding. See, comfort is the most expensive drug you will ever buy. I was paying a mortgage on a life I wasn't even living. We think we're resting, but according to behavioral psychology, incomplete goals create open loops in the brain. Those loops pull at your attention and drain your energy. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because your brain is holding the weight of everything you're avoiding. That's the safety tax. Last year, I went in for a routine eye exam with an optometrist who's a close friend of mine. During the exam, she grew unusually quiet. She kept checking the same area of my eye. And eventually she told me she had found a cluster of nerves that had died and evidence of a bleed. My vision was deteriorating. She became emotional, and I was actually in shock. All I could think about was my son. He wasn't even 2 at the time, and I imagined him turning 13 and me not being able to see him clearly. That thought hit me harder than anything had ever hit me before. I realized that if I didn't change something immediately, I could lose everything. My health, my sight, my future as a father. I called a friend who owns a gym in town, and she told me to come train. I was terrified. I had lived my whole life with excuses, everything from I'm big boned, I'm too busy, I'm not that bad, it's okay. But for the first time, I told myself I owed myself a fair shot. Walking into that gym for the first time felt like walking into a courtroom where I had to face every lie I had told myself. But my trainer and training partner became the accountability I didn't know I needed. They pushed me, encouraged me, challenged me, and reminded me who I could become. I tracked everything I ate. I studied nutrition. I learned how movement and discipline can restore life. And a year later, I lost 83 pounds, but that wasn't the real win. The real win was that I found myself again. I filled my internal evidence locker with proof that I was capable of more than I ever realized. That experience taught me unused potential is not passive. It is destructive. It creates tension in the body, erosion in the identity, and stress in the mind. When we avoid meaningful action, our biology interprets that avoidance as threat. Dopamine drops because we're not pursuing a goal. Cortisol rises because the brain treats stagnation like danger. The prefrontal cortex, that part that's responsible for discipline and decision-making, it starts to weaken. The limbic system, the emotional center, it gets louder. And the nervous system shifts into chronic tension. In other words, your body isn't stressed because your life is overwhelming. Your body is stressed because your potential is underexpressed. You cannot mediate your way out of suppressed ambition. You cannot rest your way out of underdeployed capacity. Peace doesn't come from calming the mind. Peace comes from expressing the identity you've been suppressing. In physics, potential energy is stored energy, but stored energy has a shelf life. If it stays stored too long, it becomes pressure. Picture a garden hose. The water's flowing at full blast, but then there's a kink in the hose. You might have been there before. The water doesn't stop, the pressure builds, the hose swells, it shakes, and eventually, if you wait long enough, something bursts. This is exactly what happens inside your nervous system when you hold back your own capacity. We think peace comes from relaxing, but even on vacation, you can feel stressed. Why? Because peace isn't the absence of responsibility. Peace is the release of capacity. Humans are designed to express, not burn out. If you feel heavy right now, it could be that you're not carrying too much responsibility, you're carrying too much unused gifting. There's a model I use to teach clients who feel stuck in the waiting room of life. I call it the perishable protocol. And it explains how the potential decays and how to reverse the decay. Phase 1 is called the audit resentment. Resentment is not moral failure, it's psychological data. It's a lagging indicator of suppressed ambition. You never resent people for doing things you don't want. You only resent people who do the things you know you're capable of but are avoiding. That sting is a signal. Follow it. Phase 2, increase your failure velocity. Learning psychology tells us the fastest way to grow is rapid iteration. Most people move too slowly because they're trying to avoid failure. But if you plan to launch something in a month, create a rough version and launch it in a week. If you planned a week, do something by 5 p.m. today. Speed protects you because fear needs time to grow. Move fast and fear can't catch you. The first version of the potential profile, it was far from perfect, but launching it quickly gave us clarity. We never would have gained it by waiting. Don't chase perfection, chase reps. Swing the bat more often. And phase 3 is what we call the public bet. Private goals protect your ego. Public bets transform your identity. When you declare something publicly, your brain shifts into alignment between your stated identity and your behavior. That alignment creates momentum. When I committed to transforming my health, I didn't do it quietly. I made it public. The social pressure forced my identity upward. Safety gives you an escape hatch. Burn the ships. Identity grows fastest when retreat is no longer an option. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Michael was a tech founder who'd been building in stealth mode. for 2 years perfecting this product, getting it right, making sure everything was ready before launch. We met and I challenged him, dude, just launch something ugly by Friday. But he panicked. But Binno, it's not ready. It only has 3 features. The UI is terrible. People will judge it. I said, perfect, ship it anyway. Reluctantly, he did it. Within 48 hours, 22 users had signed up. It may seem small to you, but the feedback he got completely changed his roadmap. He told me later, I waited 2 years trying to predict what people wanted. I learned more in 2 days by shipping something imperfect than I did in 2 years of planning. That's failure velocity. That's what happens when you stop letting potential rot while you're preparing. There's a phenomenon called identity dissonance, the gap between who you are and who you know you could be. When the gap widens, it produces anxiety, shame, self-doubt, and emotional fatigue. Waiting doesn't delay your potential. Waiting damages your identity. The longer you delay the expression of who you are, the more you struggle to trust yourself. And the only cure for identity dissonance is identity expression. There's a version of you that you haven't met yet, a version that doesn't hesitate or overthink, a version that doesn't hide behind fear. That version isn't waiting for confidence, it's waiting for action. You're not tired because you've done too much. You're tired because you've done too little of what lights you up. Exhaustion doesn't come from effort. Often it comes from misalignment. Don't let your potential expire. Don't let it turn bitter. And don't let it rot inside of you. If you want clarity on where your potential is stuck, your decision-making, your leadership, your identity, schedule a call with us. Our team will help you unlock what has been there all along, because we believe that potential isn't earned, it's unlocked.